Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we are going to finally do a collection room tour. Let's get to it.
Hill's Toy Collection.
First off, we are going to start right when you enter the room. You can see the steps. We have steps that go down. So let's go ahead and get in here, and I'll kind of show you how everything looks. Just kind of give you an overview of everything. So we'll kind of go out here first. And here's the entrance with carded figures, stuffed animals. Up top has, some play sets, closet, some pictures. You can see the table that I built there. And I didn't get lights over here. I didn't get that far yet. So, kind of take you around, and then we'll take a closer look after I kind of take you around here for just a minute. So you can see. Over here. Then I have cube shelves up here. And then it brings over to the VHS, where we play games, and VCR with VHS tapes. And more VHS tapes over here. And then if you saw one of my past videos, the two big turtles with the curtain, that's another closet, and then Power Ranger Zords up there. So there's kind of just an overview of how the whole room looks, just to give you an idea of space and what everything looks like. And then we'll go ahead and start probably up on this wall and then move our way over. All right, so as you can see up here, I have the original Megazord and Dragon Zord, and then the movie Ninja Megazord, the Thunder Assault Team, White Tiger Zord, along with the Red Dragon Thunder Zord. And then when you kind of go over here, you can see the Serpentera box, which is actually kind of hard to find, along with finding a good Serpentera that's not broken, because it seems really fragile. I do have the Titanus and Tor shuttle Zords, so those are really cool to have. Then we'll kind of go back over here so you can see the curtain. Well, it used to be a curtain for the old room, and then we just kind of made a curtain just to block the doors for our the closet. So then I decided to go and put those turtles in front because I didn't really know where else to put it. And then you can kind of see up here one of the retro carded Marvel Legends Spider-Man, which I love the animated series card backs. Those are really cool. And then these came out during the Spider-Man 3 movie. So these are really cool to get. I got those at Target. And then his kind of torn up suit. Because if you notice, the ones that are the Spider-Man 1 and 2 villains, they just say Spider-Man, but then it had Spider-Man 3 for the other ones. You got Venom, and then black suit there. And I do have Mikey on these plushes. I just need to clean him up and get him in here. And then I don't know if you guys remember the Taco Bell dogs, but some of them still actually work. Not that one apparently. Or that one. Okay, so I guess a couple of them doesn't work. So I have those, a couple of the Boglins that are newer. Some Land Before Time, Space Jam plushes, and then Who Framed Roger Rabbit plush, and Super Mad Ball. So, and then on this wall, these are reissues. So these would be like the retro carded Ghostbusters. And then that is my Blockbuster card. And then Toxie, that was from Trick or Treat Studios. And then Venom on that Spider-Man animated series retro card. Looks great. Along with Carnage. And then we have the Fright features for the real Ghostbusters. And those are also the retro re-release. And then you have this entrance here, and that's a sleeping bag that I have hanging on the wall. So you can kind of see. We'll kind of just go down here. All these ones at the top that are the movie Star Turtles, they are the re-release, so they're not the originals on card. And then the 2003 re-release, let's just keep over on this side first. And then these are the 2012, these are original ones, the Samurai. And then these are actually the 2012 vintage, if you can call them vintage, I guess, because it's 2012, but these are the original Monsters and Mutants ones. These are not the re-release ones. These are re-release for the Sewer Heroes. These are the re-release for the All-Stars, re-release of the originals, and re-release of some of the original lines. But I like the cards on these ones that they re-released. Then we'll kind of go up from here. So we have, these are re-release, these are re-release of the originals, and then again the All-Stars, the Sewer Heroes. These are original 2012 Mutants and Monsters, or Monsters and Mutants. These are the original Samurai ones for 2012, re-release of the 2003, and then you're back up to there. Now we'll start over here with one of my favorite pieces is the McDino Changeables Happy Meal display. I love those, and then you can kind of also see the Movie 3 Giants that I have. And then these are vintage. So this side of the wall is actually vintage ones. I always had a bunch of Aprils, so I decided to get a few more Aprils carded. And I wanted the Shogun one because the turtle ones that are in the Shoguns and the other ones, they're pretty expensive, so that one's not bad. That one's pretty cheap. And then Hills sign. And then we have the purple carded Foot Soldier and Krang Android. And then a vintage Ray Fillet on card. one of my favorite carded figures, which is the Universal Monsters Mummy Raft. Then you have Star Trek figures on card. Those are always cool. I have all 4 of those, which then leads down to my pet monster. So that is my puzzle from my childhood. Then it has like some party cards. There's the 2001 My Pet Monster, and these, I don't know if you guys remember these, but they would go and hold your shoelaces. So this was pretty cool. This actually is one of the ones I had from my childhood. So that was kind of cool. And then some Valentines, the original My Pet Monster, my football monster with the jersey, and then also have Teddy Ruxpin, and he does work.
Well, experience.
You're right, Teddy, and it's an experience that I'll never forget.
Yes, I know, Grubby.
And then we have Feifel from American Tail. And then Wicket. And Eevee. We have some more plushes down here. These are those Fugglers and a Batman there. We have the Blue Ranger, which is as he falls over. But I always like these ones too because it has like the plastic head with the plush there. So that's pretty cool. Some original Pound Puppies. And then over here too, you'll see the Vintage Firehouse. I do not have the sign or the containment unit in there. And then I put some of the Fright Feature Ghostbuster figures there with their ghosts, along with Bacto 1. And then for Sectars, I have the Hive playset. I am missing this piece up here that has like, it's like a gun or something with a stand that goes right there, but that's the only piece I'm missing. Everything else is there. So this is, it's hard to find this piece complete or even in good condition. And then I'll kind of show you in the mirror here so you can see the cardboard that's in the back, because that's all it is just cardboard in the back for this part. So that's pretty cool. You can see some more carded figures. So Vintage Spider-Man Stealth Venom figure. The old Marvel superheroes Dr. Octopus, which I always thought was funny because it had the suction cups on his tentacles. And then one of my favorite Spider-Man action figures, which is the multi-jointed Spider-Man figure. I had multiple of these just in case I had one break. So it was cool to have one carded. And then another one of my favorite figures from the animated line is the Alien Spider Slayer. And then I have a bunch of these smaller Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad figures, all on card. So those are really cool. I really enjoyed that show when I was a kid, so that was cool. And then I have the droids retro carded figures that they came out with. I also have the Sectars Dargon figure that came out from the cell, and this one's the Night Fighting Dargon, which if you look down here, there's the vintage one. So that's pretty cool. All right, on top here, you can see the Movie 3 Giants. And then the Technodrome, this is the original one with the original box. I'll show you up here. See, it has the kid on the box. So that is my original box from my childhood and Technodrome, along with my original sewer lair, along with my original sewer lair box here. See if I can go and get a picture there. So that is my vintage one. I am missing like the bed, like the blue bed in there. But other than that, I kept everything else. So that worked out pretty good. That's my childhood Grayskull and Snake Mountain, and also Ewok Village. So all these play sets survived my childhood, and I was able to actually keep the boxes for the sewer play set and the Technodrome. So that's really cool. So over on this wall, this is the Eternia poster that came with the Motu Origins Eternia playset. So that's pretty cool. And then just some random stuff. That's my turtle case from my childhood, along with my lunchbox and the turtle comm. These are pencils that I had, and some cups. So those are fun. And then one of the bowls back there. And then it kind of brings down to the Street Sharks. So that's the Mail Away Ripster. And then he is missing his pull stick. And then some more of the vintage ones. And then that's the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, along with some of the newer ones. So these are the new ones with all the new articulation. So here, and then those new figures, this is the cages that they come in, which is really cool. And then a couple extreme dinosaurs. So let's move on to the next shelf. Now, Power Rangers was one of the big three lines from my childhood. It would have been Master of the Universe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Power Rangers. Those are the big three. So I have a ton of Power Ranger stuff. These mini play sets are really cool. I definitely want to find more of those. That's the original Saba sword. These are the McDonald's toys right here for when the movie came out. And then you have the Loyal Subjects little figures here in front of them. Some bendies back there, my wallet. Then the Power Morpher back there, which I do have all the coins. Some more of the Loyal Subjects figures. And then you have some Super 7 figures back there. Then down on this shelf, vintage figures. I always loved the Lord Zed was one of my favorite villains, but I always loved those Z putties, because the toys, you press the Z in the center and the head and arms pop off, kind of like how they did in the show. So I thought that was kind of cool. So more of those, the original head flipping ones, and then those ones that are chromed out back there, those are movie ones. And then these ones back here, when they remade these ones, I can't remember when that was, but they actually came in those triangle boxes, which I'll show you an example down here. But they came in those triangle type boxes that the original ones came in. There's another one of the mini play sets, some accessories, and on the mini play sets, this piece right here actually will go and connect them together. And then you have, oh, he fell down, but those are the movie bad guys. And then you have some of the bigger bad guys. I have the bikes back there. And then these are a couple knockoffs that I thought were pretty cool, along with Power Ranger pencil. Some of the smaller little figures, some cards, and then there's a couple more bikes back there. It's the pink and yellow Ranger bikes. Some more bad guys, Lord Zed, Goldar, and then the original figures. These are from my childhood, so they are a little bit beat up. And then back there, a sealed Black Ranger, so you can kind of see how they came in that triangle type box there. So it's pretty cool. And then that kind of leads us to Sectars down here. So when I was a kid, I only had Spydrax and the Spider Flyer. So I didn't have any of the other ones. So it was really cool to actually be able to get these back, because these are not my ones that I had from my childhood. But he does still work, and I do have the wings, so that's really cool. And it's really not, I mean, besides the puppets, because you actually can put your fingers in here, and it's almost like a puppet that just rides. So it's almost like you can put it at your hand, and they can just ride on your hand or whatever. But anyways, the figures themselves really aren't too expensive, so it's a pretty cool line to do. And then they actually had like little mini comics that came with it, so that's cool. So I was really happy to be able to have these along with the Hive playset. So then we move on over to Exosquad, which is another favorite line that I only had probably maybe 3 of them. I had him, which is the main guy, good guy. I had her, and then I had this one, which was really cool. You can actually shoot out the discs in there. But I didn't really have any of the aliens, so it was kind of cool to be able to get the aliens for this line. And this one here, it actually, when I got this was sealed in box. Didn't have the stickers or anything on it, so when I put it together, I did not put any of the stickers on it, so I still have that sheet, which is pretty cool. Then we'll move on down here to Captain Power. So the Phantom Striker, that is mine from my childhood, along with this ship. Those are the 2 that I had, along with the main good guy here. And it was so much fun because I actually did play with those, because you would have VHS tapes that you would go and play, and then these had little sensors on the front here that you would shoot at the TV, and then if you got hit, it would flip them out of the cockpit, and stuff like that. So it was always really cool. I thought it was a cool interactive fun game and stuff like that. Here's one of the VHSs that is still on card. So this one is a skill level 3. But yeah, those are really fun. It was just kind of cool how they were able to do that for the technology to have those sensors on the front, which I'm sure was just a reflective thing off the TV. But that was really fun. Then some more of my Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. So you had Servo here, which I had. I don't remember having any of these other guys. I don't really know. I don't want to call them Zords, because that's Power Rangers. But these guys actually would change into like a ship, and also they would attach to Servo to make him even bigger. And then both of these were like that. So it was a really fun line. It was a pretty interesting TV show. I thought it was pretty cool. I also do have a watch that's still on cards, so that's pretty cool. And then I do have some VHSs over there. So it was just a really fun line. And then if you ever get any of these, like, they're pretty hollow, but they're still pretty cool. All right, now we are moving on to the turtle section. I do have a picture of the Mutant Mayhem right there. And then this one I got at GalaxyCon. This guy was making them at New York Comic Con, and I got the last one. It's actually a metal picture, but I thought it was so cool. It's Shredder like pretty much tearing apart the like turtle action figures. So I thought that was just an awesome picture. So I had to have that. But this is kind of like the movie ones that I have. I have the Giants up here, and then down here, that is my Coming Out of the Shells cassette tape from my childhood. And then you just kind of have the NECA movie line. They look so good. NECA did such a great job. I mean, they look like they came right off the screen. They just look awesome. They did such a good job with all that detail. And that is also my Secret of the Ooze cassette. So they just look so cool. Let me know down below, do you collect the Turtles NECA movie line or not? And then down here is more of my Last Ronin stuff. So you have the Playmates Last Ronin. This isn't Last Ronin, this is the 2012 guy, but I just kind of Fugitoid. But I just thought he looked kind of close to how he did in Last Ronin, so that's why I put him there with the Playmates. Granny April with some of the new Turtles. Got the Last Ronin there. And then moving on from Last Ronin, just this little display here that's got the Super Bebop and Rocksteady, and then the accessory set along with April. And then we also have some vintage cards. And then I don't know if you guys ever had these or played with these, but it's pretty simple, but you kind of just take, you have to go and try to line up and get those little metal balls in those spots that are empty. It's kind of hard, but anyways, that's what that is. That is a button. And then we'll move down here to the Universal Monsters from NECA, which they turned out so good. I mean, it was kind of weird that they went and did another Raph and another Leo, but it works. So I thought those are really cool. I do not have the Shredder one yet, but I should be getting that soon. So those turned out really good, and the accessories and stuff was really cool too with those. And then I have the Movie 3 NECA Turtles, and they are the ones that came out as the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so I'll show you over here. I do have that box over there. So those are really nice. I thought they turned out great. I know it was the goofier of the three movies, but I think they look really good as the NECA figures, so I think it looks cool. And then down here is an electric pinball for Turtles. So that actually still works, and that's from my childhood. And then we have more cartoon NECA figures down here with all their accessories. And these are all the NECA ones that we have. And then down here, we've got some more NECA and Mirage. And then you have the Super 7 Turtles here, along with Scratch the Cat. The Vacation Bebop and Rocksteady, which I thought was really fun. And then, another NECA and Super 7 back there. So those are the modern turtle figures that I have. Now moving over here, we have the giant movie turtles. I actually got these at PowerCon a few years back, so that was really cool. Turtles movie sticker there. This is kind of my Krang section, so you can see from this is from the Retro Saint, and this Krang is actually from one of the mini play sets Then you have the vintage one without the blue veins, with the blue veins, Super 7, the original Krang android body, the NECA one. That is the Super 7 one that you can take the front off and then you can kind of see inside. You've got the Michael Bay movie one, 2012, Utrom. So a whole bunch of them. This one actually is a custom, and I think it's just it's a repaint of a knockoff Krang android body that I got off of Whatnot. So and you got the smaller Krang android body there too, with Krang in the stomach. So, and then a vintage regular Krang figure there. These NECA figures are probably one of my favorite ones for the Mirage. They just look awesome. The detail and stuff on them look straight out of the comics. Those look cool. And then you have the Playmate ones that they just came out with not too long ago that has the bumps all over them because they were trying to remaster them, I guess is what they were called. But they still look good, so I think they look cool. Now we're getting to the vintage ones. So there's my little army of Aprils, I guess, that you could say. Now I do have the green April, but I do not have the Channel 6 fan, so I would like to get the Channel 6 fan. And then some foot soldiers. These are all those originals here. This is a watch. That's pretty cool. And it's really hard to find, but the little turtle pet food, I know that goes with like one of the mutation figures, but those are hard to find. Neutrino Kids, then we're going over into the Cave Turtles, which is one of my favorite ones. And then I do have two different variants of the Leo. You can kind of tell with the L that's hanging around his chest. Those are different colors. Along with the bands around his feet, like some are painted, some are not. So just a couple differences, but those are pretty cool. I still need to get his dinosaur. I have his seat that goes on there, but I don't have the dinosaur itself. And then that's another watch, another one of those little games there. And then a couple the smaller vehicles there. So down here you'll see that I have some empty spots, and that's because I've moved some of them over, and also so I can actually go and add and maybe finish the line of these. So there's a couple of those. It's nice having the Bebop one with his weapon. One of the Dark Turtles. These ones are always really fun. They just have a bunch of accessories and stuff you can attach, and you can also flip around their heads and all that stuff. It's really cool. Plus, when they're in their turtle mode and they're having the different head, or this head, you can actually have the shells to put on them so they look more like the regular turtles. Those are cool. Got these. Some of the military ones, which is cool. This is the vintage one, not the re-release. Same with this one. All of these ones on the shelves are vintage. Actually, it's not the yellow belly, but I do have like the purple belt for him, which is cool. And then down here, some more. I just have him as the Turtle Van. It's Splinter. He mutates. He transforms from like the Splinter to a Turtle Van. I just like him in Turtle Van. One of the head poppers. Those are the talkers. Then you have the Toon Turtles over here. The Sewer Heroes. The Disguise ones. The Sports ones, which are really cool. This Splinter also mutates into his human form. Usagi, Panda Khan. I like that foot soldier one. That's pretty cool because he transforms from like a robot and then looks like a regular foot soldier, so that's pretty cool. And then you have the rock and roll turtles. So then we'll move down to here. And more Usagi, you got Space Usagi. And then, is that Pizza Face, I believe? He was one of my favorite bad guys to play with as a kid. Chrome Dome, Worm, which is really cool. It's hard to find his little worms that he comes with though. Just so many of the vintage ones. These are a couple variants of Ray Fillet. More variants there. You can tell on him, he has silver on the top, and then he has green on the top. Got the frogs. And then Wacky Action, Rocksteady, and Bebop. So, pretty good selection there that I have. And then down here is some vehicles, which is like the Scout. And then, the Mousers. These are really cool. One of them works, one of them doesn't. Then you got the Channel 6 motorcycle there. The Foot Cruiser, which is missing the windshield, but I think that's really cool that they're going to be re-releasing that. The Party Wagon, but I am missing some pieces because this is mine from my childhood. So, and I got the re-release, but I just didn't open it. So eventually I'm going to find those pieces. So there are most of my vintage turtle figures. I'll kind of back up and kind of give you a little span of everything over there. Now let's go ahead and get to this table that has the Masters of the Universe. So this is the Eternia playset that's Motu Origins from Mattel Creations. And you can see it's pretty full. So I have a bunch of mixed figures up here, so I'll kind of just go through. And I do have Turtles of Grayskull figures up there and other things. So we'll just kind of go through and I'll just kind of show you here. The scenes, all of them fighting. They're all just kind of mixed up. No particular reason. You got Modi down there. That's the new translucent Skeletor. That was pretty cool. And then, yeah, Turtles of Grayskull. And I don't know why he's riding Battle Cat, but I have them two in the front. And then you got Adam there. I'm not sure why he's up here. Who else thinks that he looks like Cody Rhodes? I don't know. For me, he looks like Cody Rhodes to me. And then you kind of set the top there. Go back down. And then we're kind of in the Turtles of Grayskull figures over here, which I have more than just these, but they don't fit. You got Hero there, going around. Just all, and then I guess that was Figure. The other guy was not Figure, but you got Figure here hanging on. I can't remember what the other guy was called. Comment down below if you remember the other guy that I had on Battle Cat. Got Hordak, his troopers. And then again, like Turtles of Grayskull, just kind of mixed in. I like those skeleton warriors, and then Scareglow, I thought that was kind of cool. Grizzlor. Snake Face over there. Just So many figures that we put here. Got Moss Man. Yeah. Just like every spot. There's a figure there. A couple of those Snake Men. And then I do have one of the Man-at-Arms in there. So that is the display for the Eternia playset. So it's a lot of figures, and it takes up probably a good bit of room here, most of that section over there, but it was really cool. I actually built the table myself just using cube shelves, and then the shelves that I use up there as a top. So, and then in the cube shelves below, I'll go ahead and show you this part. It has more of the vintage stuff here. So that's actually my puzzle from my childhood. My childhood figures and vehicles here. So there's all of those. And we'll go around here. And then I always thought that was a really cool throne that they did for Skeletor. And it does, I don't remember, there it is. It just lights up. So that was really cool. Then you have some classics here. Spike-Or. Sorry, it's hard to get down here and show you. And then She-Ra goes back over there. And then I think he is a Galaxy Warrior, and then you have like the Imperial dragon, like riders or whatever that they ride on. Those are really fun. It's kind of like a knockoff of Motu. And then that was a Masterverse figure there. And then I just picked up the Rhino. He's another Imperial one. And then I got this from Not Another Retro channel on Whatnot. It's like a bootleg He-Man and Battle Cat. And then he is actually a mixture. I don't know if he's a bootleg or not, but he's got He-Man and Skeletor's head on a too bad body. I always thought that was really cool. And he feels like kind of like a bootleg. It's that kind of material. But he was really cool too, so I picked him up from, I think, somebody else on Whatnot. I don't know if it was Narc also for that or not. All right, let's go around the corner here. We have more vintage. So we got Skeletors, vintage Moss Man, all of them. And these are all vintage figures, not Origins. The Snake Men. Couple of new adventures there. Then we have the Powers of Grayskull T-Rex, which is awesome. This is the one I had from my childhood. He is missing like that belly cover that this would go. You can wind up and it would go and run out, and that still works. And then this piece right here was broken off. That actually goes and pegs in right here. But still, it's cool to have these weapons and stuff and actually have him. And then Slime Pit, another Hordak. Got the horses there. And then this robot is not, Master of the Universe. I just thought it was a really cool robot. I actually picked him up at a flea market, and you can go and detach him at the waist and actually put him on the car. And he's got a whole bunch of other weapons here that's back there that just attached to his chest. He's just a really cool robot. I have no idea what he is, but he was just really neat. That brings us over to the Batman section. I do have the Batman Forever Batwing. And then 89 Batman was my absolute favorite toy line of Batman because of just the gold packaging and everything just looks so cool. This is the Superman here that it came with these kryptonite rings, and you would go and put it towards his chest and it would knock him over. It's some kind of magnetic thing. These are Heath Ledger Joker, like they were cereal toys, I believe. The 89 Batmobile, and then the Batwing, which is brand new in the box. I haven't actually put it together or anything. And then the Joker Cycle, just love that packaging. And then these are the Michael Keaton Flash figures from McFarlane. Then you have these two figures here I got from Pixel Dan on Whatnot. That was based off the 89 original figures. One of my carded 89 Batman figures. And then you have the Dark Knight collection, which would have been for like the Batman Returns toys. So I have the box and I do have the vehicle, which I'll show you here in a second. This is that Mexican bootleg Batman parachute / kite thing that I got at a flea market, or not flea market, I got at a yard sale that I just had a video on. Some Batman cups here, the original Batman 89 figures, along with Bob and his hat. And then I did a custom paint job of Undercover Don and made him Joker Don. And I thought it was funny too, because if you remember the 89 movie, he has that gun, Joker does, and it pops out and says bang. So I thought that was actually perfect, that was one of the accessories. So that was pretty cool. And then back here, we'll just start back here. And then here is the carded 89 Batman figures I have. There are a couple variants that you will see. So up here real quick, if you look at his jaw, it's a little bit rounder on this one. And then you come down here and his jaw is a little bit more square. And then for the Jokers, if you look at the front of his head, right on his forehead has those like two little curls there. And then if you look at the front on his, there's no curl there. And then you have Bob. I don't know if he has any other accessories or not. Or other variants, I should say. And then I do have the Batman Forever cups here. And then I just knocked this guy over. Set him back up. And he just fell over again. I have one of the Batman Forever mini playsets. These are really cool. I really wanted to take it off card just to see how it looked out of the packaging, but the card art looks just so cool, so I really didn't want to do that. And then this is a Joker from the Dark Knight collection. I'll just stand him maybe closer to there. And then one of the Batmans from the Dark Knight collection. This is the Batmobile from the Dark Knight collection. This front part here, see, I'm trying to get him to stand, and he is not cooperating with me right now. I don't know why he doesn't want to stand for whatever reason. So there's a button here that this will pop out, and also back there, if you press one of those, the flames come out of the back. So that's pretty cool. And then it just lifts up so you can see the inside. And then you have the penguins from Batman Returns. You got Catwoman here. I just used that penguin as the penguin for the Batman Returns. And then these are those reissues that came out not too long ago for the Batman Forever. I did a review on those. And then I have some of the vintage Batman and Robin figures here. So then we got a white Batmobile Hot Wheels car here, and then a Lego polybag for Batman. So those are those Batmans. Then down here, I have the Batcaves. So let's go into these. So this is the Batman Returns, Wayne Manor / Batcave. On the front of this is Wayne Manor, because it can open up even more. And then this back part's Batcave. You can actually put him in here and spin him around. Those are, this is the Batman Forever figure that I did get a prototype for. And then you have the Nightfall Batmans there. I did collect the Disney Adventures magazines, so I do have 2 of the Batman ones, and then just a whole bunch of figures here. I'll just kind of go through and see. Mixture of like Dark Knight, original. Down here too, real quick, these are the McDonald's toys that they came out with, plus some vintage cards or wax packs. And then this Catwoman that came with that cat. I think that was a McDonald's toy too, along with for the animated series, along with that Batman and that Riddler. And then there's another Disney Adventures magazine. And then this is the original '89 Batcave. I don't have all the pieces because this was mine from my childhood, so I am missing a couple pieces, but I do still have the rock up there that comes off, so it can actually just fall off. I guess it was a play feature for that. And then this part back here, you can spin it and do different scenes of the original movie. So that is more of the Batman stuff that I have. Then we're moving on to Spider-Man, mostly animated series Spider-Man. So again, I have Disney Adventures animated series Spider-Man magazine. And then I also have the Hobgoblin glider, like the big wing bomber that it attaches to. That's what that box is for. So this is like the big wing bomber, and then you have the glider that can attach to the bomber. And then this was the animated series multi-posable Spider-Man, which is probably my second favorite figure of the Spider-Man figures. You have the McDonald's toys there in the front, along with the Doc Ock and that one. Those were McDonald's figures too. And then there's one of the McDonald's bags back there. A sealed Spider-Man, the original movie. And then these are really cool. This is like, it was made by Fisher Price, but you put these in and you just go and click through, and there's a bunch of pictures, and it would create like a little movie or whatever. So these are pretty neat. I can't remember what they're called, but I still have that thing that it goes into. And then this is my favorite Spider-Man figure. Just the rest of the figures. You got Venom there. This this black suit Spider-Man is interesting because you'd actually pull out the chest, and then it would go and he would glide up and retract. Green Goblin, I like that one. So, and then you have the bigger animated series Spider-Man figure. And then finishing off down through here is a bigger Spider-Man 2099 figure, Hobgoblin. These are knockoff Spider-Man figures. These are really cool as I'm knocking everything over. I got these at PowerCon a few years back. I just think it's funny because it's got animated series and then movie Spider-Man, movie Green Goblin. And then if you look at the back, it's just plain cardboard. There's nothing there. So these are just really cool. So I like those. And then you got another Motu vehicle here. Oh, and then for some reason you got a TCRI boost canister there. But yep, another Motu figure here, or vehicle there. And then we got Toy Story. Now we're going to be moving on to another section. Up here we have Princess of Power and some of the Horde. So you got Princess of Power along with the Crystal Castle. So you have She-Ra and Swiftwind here. And this is the She-Ra that I had when I was a kid. And then you have the Fright Zone, which it's really hard to find this puppet anywhere. My puppet from my childhood was ruined because I didn't realize to put something in it. So it got flat, and then you couldn't pull it apart and it got ruined. So this one I was actually able to find in really good condition. So that was really cool. The Fright Zone still has all of the tree branches and the birds on them. And then one of my two Meteorbs. There's my other one. Those are really cool. I want to definitely find more Meteorbs. So there are those. And then we're moving on to the mini Mutant playsets. So here are these. You got the little mini Technodromes. These are how small. They're the Mighty Max style playsets. And then I have these two, which are variants of ones over here and the one back there. Like those are variants. So this is pretty much all green metallic, and then that's like gold metallic color. That's Toka that turns into the Technodrome. Then you have like the bigger figures that open up into play sets. So I finally got Donatello. He seems to be the hardest one to find. They are not fully 100% complete, but I have the majority of those pieces, so pretty happy about that. Then there's Raph back there. The cave turtle ones, those are really cool. That's probably one of my favorite play sets besides the Slam Dunk and Dawn one. And I'm only missing one of these little tiny balls here for the turtles to hold, and then one of the bigger ones that actually go through the hoop. So I'm only missing one of each because I think it only had 3 total for each one, but I have 2 of each of those. So, and they just look so cool, like the mini cave turtles. And then this katana actually opens up into a play set. This is what the mini Krang came with, and also the movie star style mini turtles there, Mike and Raph. So they go with that play set. So there's that. Now we're moving down to Transformers. And I'll be honest, I do not know a ton about Transformers. This is mostly my son's collection. So, like the ones that I had was these here, which is more of knockoffs. And then him, that's from my childhood. And that guy right there, which those are part of a combiner. But I only had those two growing up. There's a G2, Constructicon. These also were from my childhood. They're kind of knockoffs, but they're die cast, which I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, and then he's a vintage one we just picked up not too long ago. You have the vintage the vintage Devastator there. And then one of the vintage Dinobots, vintage Grimlock. So, like I said, I don't know much about them, but this is definitely my son Lucas's collection. But a few of my pieces are in there too. So now we're going to be getting to some of Christina's collection here. So here's starting with Christina's collection. She loves Nightmare Before Christmas. So she actually found like a stapler and a pencil holder. And then she still has another piece of the Lego set here to build. But she's got 2 of those done. She loves Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. So she got that Lego piece there. She collects a lot of Polly Pockets. And it's been kind of neat what Mattel's been doing lately. So they did like The Office, they did Stranger Things, so she's been collecting those. Down here is more Nightmare Before Christmas. You have the NECA figures here, some plush down here, some older figures. Statue. She just picked this up. That's a snow globe. These are some older figures there too. And then the Deadly Nightshade glass. And some of the older, some more of the older NECA figures here. Let's see this one back here. There's Sally back there. So she definitely loves her Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Now let's go and show you some more of the Polly Pockets. All right, starting from the top for Polly Pockets, you have some of the reissues that Mattel's been doing. It's the Keepsake collection is what they were calling it. So she had those still in the box. And then over here too is another one, which she has the vintage one of this one. So that was pretty cool. Her favorite is this Wizard of Oz mini playset. I don't think it's Polly Pocket necessarily, like branded, but it's like a Polly Pocket Wizard of Oz set. But this is her favorite. There's a little tree here that you press on and it starts lighting things up. So that one there. And then there's everything lit up at once. But this is her favorite, one of her favorite grails, I would say, that she has. Just because she got it, that was in the box, sealed, and she opened it up. And then some of the smaller Polly Pocket things, that's like a Paris Polly Pocket. I don't really know. This was one of the McDonald's ones. And then down here, there's Dolly Locket. That's like a knockoff of Polly Pocket. So that was kind of cool for her to pick up. These are little monsters you'll see here that kind of remind me of My Pet Monster. So those are kind of cool. She does have like a few like newer Polly Pockets. For the most part, she sticks to vintage. She does have a couple of the Pokemon ones too. And then, yeah, it's another McDonald's one. And then she has a couple of those enchanted book things, I guess. I don't remember what they're called. And then a few more Dolly Lockets. And then down here, kind of a mixture of some more stuff. I know that these smaller ones here are like those keepsake ones, because they did individual package ones, and then they did a pack of 3 of them, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. Mattel did a Friends Polly Pocket set. those are like, I think, earrings. That's another McDonald's thing. She likes The Walking Dead, so we had some Walking Dead Lego figures that she picked up. There's some more of those keepsake collections that are still in the box. And then they also did a Harry Potter set. And then that horseshoe one right there is kind of like a rodeo set. And then Wizard of Oz, like she loves Wizard of Oz. You'll see that down in the next shelf. So that's one of the Wizard of Oz books. Then down here, she has a few Barbie things. So these are Barbie paper dolls, which is kind of cool. She actually had paper dolls when she was a kid, so that was kind of cool fun to see that. Plus one of the Barbie McDonald's Happy Meal boxes, a Polly Pocket collab with Barbie, so that was cool. Class of 97 Barbie, and then you have the older Wizard of Oz dolls. I don't know and remember what year that is. I did look it up at one point, but I forget what year that is. So if you know what that is, comment down below. This is one that she just picked up, just didn't have room yet. It's another Dorothy and Toto vintage doll. This fashion doll dinner date, which I'm going to move a couple of these things here. This is another one of her grails, because she actually had this play set, and it's not Barbie branded or anything, it's just fashion doll, which makes it even harder to find. But she had that set with Barbies when she was a kid, and that was one of the few things that she remembers having. So that was a big deal, and it's 100% complete. Everything's still in package and everything, so she was very excited about getting that. A couple more Polly Pockets. We got like this birthday thing here. So those are some bigger ones. This is a Mattel keepsake collection. Those are the three. That's the 3-pack. She does have, which you can't see right now, one of the Barbie horses. And these were one of the calendar things, and it was Funko Pop calendars. So, and then this is like a little furblet. Yeah, one of those little furblets that are one of the newer ones. So there's that shelf, and then it's gonna keep talking. Down here, she has a couple Funko Pops, not very many, but of course Baby Groot and Jack Skellington. It's still talking, that furblet. One of Cabbage Patch Kids, still in package. And then an Optimus Prime. Got one of the newer Polly Pockets. I had to take that Furby away because it kept talking, so... Here is a mini playset that is Pound Puppies. You can see the little figures up there. And then this is just kind of a generic Barbie car. It's not Barbie branded. It's one of those, just generic doll cars. But it was like one that she remembers that was just all pink. And then you have some McDonald's Barbies figures there. This is another set that's like that diner set that I was talking about, and it's a barbecue and pull set. You can see this one was at Sears, but it's that Fashion Dolls brand. You can kind of see it. It's a little bit buried, but it's the same type of thing. Kind of like just a generic doll set, but she loved that. Her Wizard of Oz puzzle. She likes Stranger Things, so that's a Demogorgon. And then, since she likes Stranger Things, they did that collab with Master of the Universe and Stranger Things. So you got a Demogorgon and a Skeletor riding in the pink Barbie car. So we thought that was kind of funny. And then of course you can't forget Groot there, and then another Barbie that's back there. So for the most part, that is her collection. If you stuck around the video this long, I appreciate it. We are almost there, so we're gonna keep going here. These are the mini playsets, Micro Machines mini playsets for Star Wars. So all of those open up into different playsets. You have these mini ones up here. The Death Star is a really cool one. Even lightsaber. Some of the Micro Machine playsets weren't like heads or anything that opened up. They were just kind of almost like dioramas that opened up as mini playsets. Here are these mini head ones there. So those are the Star Wars ones, and then those are like the cup toppers from Taco Bell from back in the day. So I thought that was kind of cool too. And then moving on to Mighty Max. Now I've shown some of these before in another video, but got the Puree Mighty Max mini playsets. They basically Puree was remaking, and now it's like Rover Robin over here. Like that's their new character that they've been using. But it's really cool line. If you ever get a chance, definitely check them out. But here are the Mighty Max sets that I have. The hand is really awesome. The spider and the dragon back here are the only two that I had when I was a kid. These comic ones are really cool. So we got a couple of the X-Men and Spider-Man one. Dragon Island's really cool. Magus. This is the one that's not complete, but I do still have the missiles for the eyes, which are really hard to find. I'll show you the complete one with the box here in a second. And I explained before, like there's a guy that actually makes these little tiny play sets and boxes and all that kind of stuff. I think it's Mando Minis, I believe, or something like that. Definitely go check it out. He did a great job on those. So some more of the smaller ones here. Then we'll go down here, and there's the Mighty Max Blast Magus, and then he's complete. And I also have even more parts in that box for him that I can probably do a partial completion on another one. And then I do always like the old kid watches. So this is the Mighty Max watch that is based off of the Dragon, which was one of the ones I had as a kid. So I always really liked that one. And then here's some more. There's the Dragon Island box. It's a little beat up, but it's still a really nice condition one. Because you can see, and it's not torn up or anything, you can actually see all the artwork. So here's some more. This one's a hard one to find. I am missing a piece that's on the side here, but and then these two right here are McDonald's ones. And then these are the Puree sets here. And then this is the hand backer for the packaging. And then you have Skull Mountain. It is complete. And then it does have both the round and the fireball for the eyes. So it is complete. I have all of that. This is a really cool set. If you can get that complete, that's really cool. I did get one of those Heroes and Villains. I did open it up so I could take a couple out because this is the bad guy for the dragon one, and mine was broken. So I picked this up so I can replace that. And then there was another figure in there. I can't remember what they were, but I added those to one of the other sets. So those are the Mighty Max sets. Then we're moving down to Ghostbusters here. And that is not the vintage Ecto 1. That is the reissue. And then I have the Lego Ecto one. That is my PKE meter from, because I used to have the proton pack and everything that it came with. I don't have that anymore, but that's what's left of what I had. You got some more of the figures here. You got Janine there. Fright features. That's the collab with Transformers and Ghostbusters. So that was pretty cool. Got a comic back there. That's my puzzle, Ghostbusters 2 puzzle, or yeah, puzzle poster, which is pretty cool from my childhood. And then, I don't know why, but he was one of my favorite bad guys or whatever that I played with. I do have a vintage Egon with his tie. And then this thing's kind of neat. It's, if you saw back here, like that, it was something, this small little thing that they made that you could get at like Walmart or whatever, but that's kind of neat. I thought it lit up, but it's not lighting up now. And then I just put like a little ghost Yoda or whatever on it. I thought that was kind of funny. So those are the rest of my Ghostbuster stuff, that besides the firehouse that's over there. And then a couple more things for Christina, one of the newer Polly Pockets. That is the Target one in a fashion doll case, because that's what she would have had, is a fashion doll case, not a Barbie branded one. And then I talked about these two, My Pet Monster, the 2024, dog toys. So you have the bigger ones back here, and then all the smaller ones that you could get at Menards, along with the Menards display. Then up here, I have the My Pet Monsters pets that are more like puppets. Go see my video of My Pet Monsters, like the vintage to modern that I did, and I explain more of those. Along with, I do have the Gremlins Gizmo Furby collab that they did, and that's still in the box. And then another Gizmo. This stuffed animal, just, I don't understand. It just looks like it's so worn down, and it squeaks kind of like a dog toy, so I don't know, it's kind of funny. And then I don't have a lot of Dino Riders stuff, but this is my small little Dino Rider collection. That is one of the VHS's, but I don't have the sleeve for it. So I would like to get more, but they are pretty fragile and hard to find for a decent price, it seems like. So I'm fine with this small little collection here. Then you have kind of the sketch turtles. So the ones in the back are San Diego Comic-Con exclusive ones. And then they had these ones that released at Target. So those were pretty cool. Then you have back here, you've got Needle Nose and Buzz Off. Needle Nose is complete. Buzz Off, I think I'm missing maybe the chain on it. But I can't remember what that one is. And then if you can kind of see in the back, probably not really. That's a folder of the turtles from my childhood. And then going down here is my little Simpsons display. I'm getting more of those figures, so I'd like to build that out. And then that's my Simpsons watch. I think it was like a Burger King thing when I was a kid that we got those, but that was pretty cool. The biker mice from Mars. So you have the nacelle biker mice in the back, and then the vintage ones in the front. And also, this right here is a bootleg biker mice, which you can tell it's pretty rough looking. I believe I got him from Not Another Retro Channel 2. So those are really cool. Nacelle did a great job on those. I think they look really good. And I like having, and honestly, I'm not going to go further into the line. I just wanted the 3 biker mice. So I think those are cool. Then we've got Toxic Crusaders. So that's a puzzle in the back. Sorry, it's kind of dark in there. I don't have any lighting over here. Then you have the Vintage and the Trick or Treat Studios. So you can kind of see the difference between the original and the Trick or Treat Studios. And then back here is the Trick or Treat Studios and the vintage of Dr. Killamoff. And then you have the other bad guys back in there. And then Super 7 Toxie back there. So that's my small little Toxic Crusaders collection. And then you got some ooze right down there too, which is pretty cool. Then we have the Dick Tracy collection. So I had to get more of the bad guys, but I always loved this line by Playmates. I thought it was really cool. And as you'll see in the next spot, like between Turtles and Dick Tracy, they fit together so well. Being Playmates, it worked, it makes sense. But I did my own like little mash 'em up figures for those. But this was such a fun little line. And then there's one of the watches that you could get for the role playing. I wish to find the blank figure one of these days, but it's so expensive that I'll probably never have it, but that's okay. So that was really cool line. And then over here are my customs that I've done. I did a video on these. They were really fun to make. The two in the back are the ones that I didn't make, but I did the rest of these collabs with Dick Tracy and the Turtles. Kind of like, you know, the old style gangster, you know, style Turtles. I thought that was kind of cool. So I did it, and I did the mixture with the rock and roll Turtles. Then I have the 2012 Turtles here. Not a lot. My son has a ton more of the 2012 Turtles. This is just what he wanted to display in here. So there are all of those. And those are all the vintage ones. Then down here, I don't have a lot of wrestling figures, but what I do have is the LJN ones. Of course, Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake back there. It's just, I do have a couple of the Hasbro ones too. These are the little thumb ones. Try to get here and show you. So, you know, you'd stick your thumb back here and then you'd wrestle them. So, anyways, pretty goofy, but back in the day, those were so much fun to play with. So that's my little wrestling collection. Then we have Star Wars. So with Star Wars, I did get those Ewoks they made not too long ago, based off of the cartoon. And then the rest of these are just a mixture between vintage and Power of the Force. I do have the R2-D2 with his coin. That's a pop-up lightsaber, but that lightsaber is not the actual real lightsaber. I wish it was, but that was lost long ago when I was a kid. And then that's my Yoda from my childhood. Doesn't have anything on it, that's why. He's from Droids, but what I thought was funny with him, and I didn't really ever watch the Droids cartoon, but he reminded me of the Ewok movie with the old guy that was in there. Was it Battle for Endor? I believe that movie. But he reminded me of him, so that's the reason why I wanted him out of all the droid figures when I was a kid. Then you have the other two Ewok figures that is from the cartoon. They all have their coins and they all have their weapons. Moving over to more of the bad guys section. All the ones in the front are from the Ewok cartoon with their coins and the weapons. So those are hard to find now, but honestly, when I was a kid, those were really the main figures that I even had. I didn't really have all of the other ones like Vader or Boba Fett or anything like that. I just had those. So I was kind of lucky to be able to save all of those. But you can see back here, you got Vader with his lightsaber intact, Boba Fett, Troopers, all of them, Wampa. So, and then back there is one of those collection booklets that came with the figures and stuff. Then down here is my small little Thundercats collection. These were the only figures that I had for Thundercats when I was a kid. And that's what I was sticking to. I'm trying not to go and get a bunch more. I'm just sticking with those ones right there. Then over here, small little Godzilla collection. Newer stuff there. And then I went over this before in another video, but it is the Trendmasters Godzilla playset. This is the New York one. Then we'll move over here to Darkwing Duck. I only had a few figures of this, and that is my Darkwing Duck fanny pack from my childhood. Yes, I did wear that. And then the plane, and then these little PVC figures here. So it's a small little collection, but those are the ones I had from my childhood. Then down here is my Tick figure collection. These are neat figures. It's just they all have like some kind of action feature. They're weird, but in a good way. I think they're funny and they're pretty cool. I don't know any of these guys' names or anything. I just got them because I thought they looked cool and fun, so that's why I have those. This right here is, his name's Big Rex. He looks like a Godzilla, but his name's like Big Rex. He's motorized. I think he takes like D batteries or something like that. But then when he's working, his eyes light up and smoke comes out of his mouth and everything. He's really cool. I had him, this is from my childhood. I had him when I was a kid. And then I remember when my son was really small, we would actually go and take that, and it would scare him to death. Like, it would terrify him. So that's probably pretty mean. But still, this is a pretty cool toy and kind of hard to find, it seems like. Then going over to Crash Dummies. I love Crash Dummies. Oh, I still have like a sticker on here. I just got him not too long ago. I haven't had much to do with this vehicle yet. I want to get more pieces to finish him. But anyways, just picked that up recently. But here is some more Crash Dummies. So what I think is funny about the Crash Dummies, I love the mower guy. That's really cool. And then the pets. Now the pets, you can see, it was interesting with the dog how they did this. So they basically split it to where you can actually make him lift his hind leg, which is why I display him like that. But the dog and cat are really cool. The plane's fun. I do have the box for the plane, just don't have room for it. And then over here, the red vehicle, that is the vehicle that I had when I was a kid. And then the only two, I only had, I think, a couple of the Crash Dummies. Spin was one of them. He's my favorite. He's the main one. And then the other one, I believe, was Slick. So I think the two main ones were the only ones I really had. And then this bad guy, sorry I don't know the names, but he was the other one that I had. But I did pick him up recently. Bull was fun, but you couldn't pop him apart or anything. So you can take his arms and legs off and stuff like that, but you couldn't really pop him apart. And then there is the blue Crash Dummies car back there. That was probably the first thing I picked up when I was getting back into getting more Crash Test Dummies, was that blue car, plus a couple of these figures in the front. So there are some more I would like to get. This one right here is one of those newer figures. I got him like really cheap from like a flea market. So that's why I picked him up. But I like to stick to the old original ones. So those are, for the most part, all my Crash Dummy stuff. Moving over to the last wall that I have here, I have Voltron back there. You can see the original vintage Giants for Turtles, and then the giant Bebop and Rocksteady, which is awesome. I can't believe I was able to find those for a really good price. So that was really cool. We'll stick to this corner here. We have the Mondo Venom that I did a video of. The Azrael Batman. That is the one special one that they did that was the black and gold. That was on McFarlane's website. Comic-Con dinosaurs and San Diego Comic-Con Alf. So I thought those were awesome. I had to pick those up. Some blockies for Transformers, and then we get to more of the probably more sought after, you know, more expensive Turtles figures. So we have the Universal Monsters back there. As you can see, I don't have Mummy Raph, but I have him on cards. So eventually I want to find him loose, but I don't have him on card. I have him on cards, so it's fine for now. And then, but I do have April, which I thought was cool. And she was one of the only Universal Monster figures that I actually had as a kid. So, and then some more of these. Arctic Dawn, he was a cool find. I love the Chrome figures. So, the robotic Bebop and robotic Foot Soldier, those were awesome finds. So I like that whole shelf is a great shelf. And then down here, even more. So, and sorry for the lighting, it's just got, you know, different colored lighting there. But one of the dinosaur turtles back there. So I have Michelangelo. That's my troll Mikey. I do have all of his accessories and everything. So that's from my childhood. If you can see back here, that's that Argentinian Michelangelo. And then you got Hothead, and then you have these Leos down here. This guy's really hard to find. I couldn't believe I found him. One of the Coil Force, and then you have the Donatello. That's one of the dinosaurs. Wait till it brightens up a little bit here so I can see again. But he's really cool. And then you have the little mechs, and with, you know, the figures in them. They are missing quite a few pieces and stuff like that, but these mechs are so cool, and I definitely gotta find Donatello's. And I don't even care if it's complete. I just want to find them so I can add them to there, because these are not complete. Some have more parts than others, but they're definitely missing several things. And then down here is my movie turtles. So you got the movie stars and the different variants of Razor. So pink nose and black nose. And then the variants of Toka, which once it gets lighter here, you'll see the two different colors of him. So those are really cool. I always thought it was neat with Splinter, how he's flocked. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm glad they did that. And then finishing off the movie stuff, we have the movie 3 turtles. Some have, or one of them has their mask. The other ones do not have their mask. I do have the horses back there. But that was a really cool line. I mean, I understand the movie may not have been that great, but I thought the toys were really cool. And I have quite a few other weapons and stuff back there too. So, those are the turtles. That's on this shelf right back here. That brings us to over here. So you had these, you know, re-released giant turtles. I have all 4 of those. We'll go up here. I got this at a GalaxyCon, well, no, it was Wizard World Comic Con. And it was a copy of like somebody that actually did a pencil drawing of this. It was so cool looking. It's probably one of my favorite scenes from Homecoming Spider-Man, him trying to hold that boat together. So that was really cool. And then you've got Spider-Man trying to rip off the Venom suit. So that was a cool art piece. Then you have Leia choking out Jabba, but this is a different take because it's Leia, but she's got like all these tattoos and stuff all over her. I thought that was a really cool style artwork for that. And then you can kind of see the artist there. And then this is a vintage original Eternia poster that I had from my childhood. So this was really cool. It's got all of them in here. You have Scareglow, you got Eternia, like all the different characters. Like this is a great one, and that's why I like having this one, as you'll see across from that one over there. So it just kind of reminds me of both of those. So coming back down here, a variant different Super Shredder. That's the all purple one. Some of the Loyal Subjects turtles. That's one of the movie buttons. That's a big button there. One of the new Street Sharks. I like the packaging and stuff. That's why I had an extra one of that one. Then over here was the Spectacular Spider-Man Venom, which I thought was really cool. It's funny, on the back of this, I'm not gonna pull it off because I'll probably knock everything over, but the picture of the figure on the back, the face looks completely different than the actual face on this figure. So I thought that was neat. Delta Donatello, and this one came out around when Toys R Us was still around. One of those reissues, so that was cool. There's a Scareglow. I know I don't have his cape or weapon or anything like that. I'm just happy to have a Scareglow, so I thought that was pretty cool. I picked that up at one of the toy shows not too long ago. This was pretty neat because this shark here was one of the few Transformers that I actually had as a kid, and these are a knockoff of those. So I thought that was pretty cool to find that carded. I think I got it for like $5, so that was pretty neat. And then I love Crash Dummies, so I really had to have Spin on card because that was my favorite figure. So that's cool. Down here is one of those like an evolution of the toys, even though this is not the first one that came out. It was that style, but still it was cool to find, and it has like the year and stuff on them, so you can kind of go through and see the different years and what the toys look like based off of the style that they were going for that year. And then over here, that was a custom Star Wars figure that someone made on card. Then you got the vintage Bartman, because that's my favorite character for Simpsons. And then 20th anniversary Sonic that we got from Toys R Us back in the day. It was just a cool figure, and I love the packaging, so I didn't want to take it off. Then you have one of the popcorn buckets for a ghost trap, and I put Slimer in there, and those are a bunch of changeables from McDonald's, just because, you know, he eats food all the time, so I thought that was kind of funny. And then a few more of the changeables and stuff there. So those are all my changeables, just kind of thrown in. You can't really see them all, but I have them all in there. Then we're moving on to the movies, or really they're VHSs, they're not all movies. So, and they're not really in particular order, except for, like, I had cartoon stuff kind of in the Turtle movies and stuff first, and then it just kind of starts going in alphabetical order. But we'll start with the Turtles. I do have some duplicates of them because I had all of those, the FHE, like, cartoon, Burger King VHSs. I had all of those when I was a kid, so, and then I acquired a few more, so I do have multiples of some of those. And then this one right here, I wanted to point out, if I can get it out here, this one that is Super Rocksteady and Mighty Bebop, this is still sealed. I cannot believe I did not open this when I was a kid, because this came from my mom, and I do not understand why I never watched that as a kid. So, because I don't have another one, so I don't know why. But that was kind of cool. Going from Turtles, then you have the Coming Out of Their Shells tour, plus like the making of, and then you have Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, My Pet Monster, which is really cool. This is one of the Golden Book ones, so that's pretty neat. And then Mighty Max, the Misc cartoon. Also have Filmation's Ghostbusters VHS. I haven't watched that yet, but that's pretty neat. And then another one you don't really see, it seems like, is the Super Mario Brothers VHS. So that's kind of cool for that cartoon. Then, yeah, that's one that we recorded. That's from the old, I think 70s cartoon that we recorded off the TV back in the day. Then we got Dirty Dancing for my wife, of course, and then Back to the Future and more stuff here, Batman, and some more VHS down through there. Then we'll kind of go and look at the TV area. So I have up here, I have one of the Burger King Kids Club. What's his name? Something Kid, I think. I can't remember. But Annoyed right there from Domino's. And then we have some McFarlane figures. And we've got Ecto Narc from Not Another Retro Channel. And the Toy Stash. So it was Totally Rad Dudes, I believe, that made that. We got a popcorn bucket with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in there. I thought it was kind of cool. I didn't really like these Slimer buckets, but it looks kind of neat because it looks like he's eating Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's like a Turtles little candy dish thing. You've got the knockoff Madball bracelets there. A couple more changeables. The Leo little trophy thing there. It was like a 5th anniversary little trophy looking thing there. That was kind of cool. These are the Jurassic Park Transformers. And then a vintage ghost trap with 2 of those glow-in-the-dark ghosts, which is pretty cool. You even got some Mad Balls, like the remakes, some of those chicken nugget things that they did for the adult Happy Meal things. Got E.T. I love the Batmobile, of course, 89 Batmobile, and the Knight Rider kit car. This one's actually kind of neat. So like this is almost like a key that you stick in the back, and if you press on it, it would shoot it out. So that was kind of cool. The A-Team, love the A-Team van. So that was really cool. Then also, not too long ago, picked up the General Lee with Bo and Daisy. So this stuff's definitely gotten expensive as far as like the Dukes of Hazzard car, and then finding Bo and Daisy in good condition, because Bo was one of the first O-ring figures, I believe, that they made, because I think it came out a year before the G.I. Joe O-ring figures. But I still need to get Luke, and then I'm probably done with that line. I just kind of want some of the main characters. And then a couple more of the newer Mad Balls. And then we got one of those Classic Q systems that actually play like your Sega Genesis, NES, and Super Nintendo systems. I only use that sometimes. I like to actually play the original systems mostly, but sometimes I'll do it if I don't feel like hooking up the other ones. Another E.T. Bendy there. And then a Cinemark, one of the Cinemark popcorn buckets that I put like a plush Stay Puft, just because I think it's funny again that he's eating a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Then we got some more VHSs here, a couple of the Goosebumps, Power Rangers movie, Space Jam, some good ones there, American Tail, so more cartoons down there, Jingle All the Way, which is funny. And then kind of going up here, we have the Brutal Shredder from the 2012 line. This I cannot remember. I got that from another retro channel also, but I cannot remember what he is. He just to me looks like kind of like a knockoff Bebop, big, you know, Turtles type figures, so I thought that was kind of funny. A couple of the Alf puppets. Beetlejuice, the Burger King Kids Club troll there. Of course, Bob Ross, because I love Bob Ross. I have Bob Ross Lego minifigure. I got the 2012 Giants there. And then more VHS down through here. Starting with Power Rangers, because Power Rangers was huge for me. And then more like Ghostbusters, Gremlins, E.T., Hook, Home Alone, Jurassic Park, and then there's some more of those Mad Balls. There's a card for Ecto Narc. Down here, some more turtle stuff, some more little figures. Got the Kool-Aid Man down there. Some more random figures there. More VHS, Willow, Weekend at Bernie's. Three Ninjas, love Three Ninjas. And then also like the old Superman commercial, or not commercials, the old Superman cartoons. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Roadhouse, Star Wars, Mighty Ducks, McGee and Me, which is kind of funny. I forgot about that until I saw it one day in a flea market or whatever and had to pick it up. My Girl, Mystic Pizza, which is one of my wife's favorite movies. So a bunch of VHS. And then also another thing that we missed over here is Pixel Dan's figure from Major Bendy's, I believe. And then that is the packaging for Ecto Narc, Rad Radioactive Dudes. So pretty cool. And then we are back over to here with the Turtles. So, and then I missed this front part here. So I do have a few of the movie 3 Turtles on card because I don't know where to put them right now. So they're just kind of sitting in front here. The Goosebumps little cards that came with them, the figures. The Batman Forever Batmobile. And then, of course, we got Jeffrey over here, which is great. And then those knockoff Transformers that I had or whatever, I do have one of those on card. And then Optimus Prime Popcorn Bucket Head, along with Darth Vader. I think he's like a cup or something like that. So, anyways, I do have a lot more in totes and stuff like that, but that is a more detailed showing of my collection room. And then we got the couch here, which a friend of mine made this pillow out of a t-shirt, so that was cool. And then of course, you know, more My Pet Monsters, my big Leo turtle plush or stuffed animal. I've got Alf, I've got Slappy from Goosebumps, and then Spin and Louie, which these are really cool, from Crash Dummies. You can actually, they're Velcro, so you can take off their legs, arms, and head, which I thought was a cool feature since they break apart, the toys break apart and stuff. So I thought that was a cool part on the stuffed animals. But yeah, so that is the room collection tour. I hope you liked it. If you had any questions or anything, please leave comments down below. I know it's kind of a long video, but it takes a while to go through all of this stuff. So I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. Well, I really hope you enjoyed the collection room tour. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.